Well, hello there, ladies and gents. Great to see you again, and welcome back to Game Changers, the lessons you never learned in school. I'm Ryan Ruff, your moderator, but as always, I'll be joined by Barry Garapedian of Mag 7 Consulting, and we're going to get into another great discussion surrounding some of the key principles of life and success. What allows somebody to be successful in both life and business, and of course, some of the teachings that Barry works with his young minds at Mag 7 Consultants. And boy, do we have an awesome topic for today, really the backbone of a lot of the conversations that Barry has with his clients. Really excited to be getting into this. But before we dive headfirst into it, let's go ahead and say hi to the man of the hour. Barry, good to see you today. How you doing?
Ryan, thank you so much for having me. We're going to have some fun today, have some great content to share with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Barry, we've had this date circled on the calendar for a little bit just because this conversation is really at the core of so many lessons, so many teachings that you go through with your young minds at Mag 7 Consultants. So why don't you frame up the topic for our audience today? What are we talking about and why is this so important?
I get this question at least once or twice a week. What is winning? What is winning the game of life? Is there one definition? Is it how much money you make? Is it this? Is it that? I've come up with basically the recipe, the formula for winning. And it's basically what we're going to be talking about today. It's 7 things, and we're going to get into the details of them today, Ryan.
Sure, sure. I mean, look, everybody wants to win, but life isn't necessarily an easy game, is it, Barry? It's a tricky one. There's a lot of ups and downs throughout it. There's physical challenges, emotional challenges, spiritual challenges. We're going to get into all that today. But from a high level, Barry, before we get into the weeds, why would you say this topic as a whole is just so important and why we want to be chatting about it today?
Ryan, I worked on Wall Street for 39 years, and I worked with very affluent families. I saw the good, I saw the bad. And what is happening that I notice is many people are just not the best versions of themselves. They're overwhelmed with work, they're not balanced. And so this process that I'm going to share with you today is a strategy. It's not easy of how you can have the best life ever. And it's 7 simple things we're going to talk about. But again, I've seen this. I went through challenges in my life, healthy struggles, if you will, and I incorporated these strategies, and it's actually turned my life around. I'd say over the last 25 years, I've incorporated these strategies.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, let's get right into it then, Barry. You mentioned 7 pillars that really hold up and are the foundation of the game of life. What's pillar number 1 and why is it so important?
So let's go over the pillars real quickly. There's 7 pillars, and we're going to go over the first one, but the 7 pillars are family, faith, friends, fitness, financial, fun, and philanthropy with an F. The first F is family. You've got to take care of your family. That means taking care of mom, dad, your brothers and sisters, emotionally, physically, even if they need some help monetarily, you help and take care of your family. So family is number 1, Ryan. You don't move away and you take care of your family. Number 1 by far.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't choose your family, which is also part of what makes it so special. I mean, we all have, great relationships or interesting relationships with family members you want to cherish over time and grow and develop.
That means
Mhm.
taking someone to the airport, picking someone up from the airport. That means being there for them emotionally. This is the first pillar we need to put energy into, which is family. The second pillar is faith, Faith. Now, many people aren't faith, they're not into faith. People are more into spiritual, they're more into energy. It doesn't matter how and who you worship, it's having a higher power. So the reality for me is faith is a big part of our life. And having a higher power gives me the confidence. It's an added advantage to know I have another energy that's supporting me. So faith would be number 2 pillar.
All right. I love that one. And the next one that's really important to me personally is friends. I spend a lot of time with my friends. I cherish those relationships. They've propelled me to new places in life. But what's your take on friends and why is it so important?
Friends is the third pillar, and we oftentimes forget there's many people out there, Ryan, that are disengaged. They're going through depression. They're going through isolation, and they're not happy. They're not happy. They're bitter. All we need to do is Stay in touch with friends. And by just making a phone call, say, I'm thinking of you, Ryan. How are you? It's not that difficult. You can make one phone call a day. You're in the car, you're traveling, calling a friend. So friends are the treasure of our lives, having wonderful friendships. Yes, money is a piece of the puzzle, but friendships are absolutely, and we have different kinds of friends. We have our skiing friends, our tennis friends, our golf friends, our business friends, our family friends. There's different subsets of friends, but don't forget about friends.
Barry, one thing I want to double click into before we move to the next pillar and kind of staying with friends, you've mentioned on this show before the idea of you are the aggregate of the 5 people that you spend most of your time with. I would imagine in most cases, friends are probably some, if not all, of those people that you spend a lot of your time with. So what do you say, Barry, to the importance of friendship married to that concept of being the aggregate of those friends that you hold close to? Eh, why is that intersection, if you will, just so important to have?
You choose your friends carefully. I have friends that empower me, that make me a better version of myself. And there's statistics and science that shows if you're around a high performer, within 25 feet of a high performer, you're going to raise your level 20, 30, 40%, just being around a high performer. So I look at my friends the same way. I have my tennis friends. Most of my tennis friends are better tennis players than I am, that make me better. Golf, swimming, skiing, business. If we allocate energy to being the best version of ourselves, I'm choosing friends that make me better. And guess what? I really believe in that. I really think that's important, especially with the young minds, the 14 through 30. Those folks, if they're around the wrong crew, guess what's going to happen? You're going to decelerate instead of accelerating to getting to where you want to be in life.
I love that, Barry. Thanks for sharing that. Let's get into the next pillar, fitness. I think the common misconception might be physical fitness, but there's more going on here. Talk to me about fitness.
And Ryan, you're exactly right. We all think about being fit, and of course that's important. Your diet, we know that. That's nothing new. Let's not even spend time there. Let's talk about emotional fitness. Yeah. Let's talk about what's going with your silent voice constantly talking to you. And if it's talking to you in a negative energy, not good. You need to change that silent voice. So, what are you reading? Who are the people you're helping? So, it's the people you meet, the books you read. Do you have a meditation process? Do you have a breathing protocol? Are you incorporating cold plunges, cold water? Whatever can give you endorphins and make you feel better, that is emotional. And I do all those things because I like to feel good. Remember, helping other people, adding value first to someone makes you feel good. And guess what? I'm not looking for reciprocity. I don't need to get something back from that person. So by helping other people makes me feel good. That's an emotional value add to me.
Yeah.
So that's very important.
Yeah. And Barry, we're coming off of a conversation where we were talking about this idea of becoming a corporate athlete. And it all really stemmed from this idea of preparation and preparing the night before so you are ready to hit the ground running when it comes to showtime the next day. Talk to me a little bit about, before we move to the next pillar, the idea of preparation and specifically with regard to a morning routine and how that's married to this pillar of fitness.
Absolutely vital for me, Ryan. I have a win the morning narrative that starts the night before. I need to be in bed, for me, inside 10 o'clock at night. Usually it's 9:30. I need at least 7 hours. I wake up early. I have a protocol in the morning that I do every morning. It's a cold shower. It's my sit-ups, my ab work. I do a plank for 90 seconds. I'm ready to go. Then I start off with a 2-mile swim in the morning. Everyone's different. But I like routine, I like structure, I like process. And I know if I do those things in the morning, I'm going to win the day. So win the morning, win the day. And the game of life is about consistency. It's not about doing that once a week. You lift weights once a week, you do that stuff once, it's not going to do anything for you. It really isn't. You need to have the consistency. So for me, I love process. I love rituals. I love knowing what I need to do in the day. I have a plan. I have a blueprint of my day, who I need to talk to, all the things and action items and things that I need to do. And guess what? I feel like I'm in control of my day. The day's not controlling me. And I can have significant discussions with people not being rushed. So that's how I roll.
All righty, fantastic, Barry. And hey, let's go ahead and move now into that next pillar, which is financial, one you're very familiar with given your time on Wall Street. Open it up for us. Why is financial such a crucial pillar in winning that game of life?
The pillar of financial is being a good financial steward of your own money. Take control of your stuff. Oh, you want to buy a house? What's the strategy? You have bills. You need to be a good financial steward of your own affairs. And that's what I mean by being financial. Also, your job, your career. Do you have goals? Do you want to ascend? Do you want to go higher in the company? Do you want to hang your own shingle and be your own entrepreneurial person? There's many ways to do this now in the last 5 years with all the technology. So the reality is financial is a really important piece, but it's not the most important. We blend in the other 7 is the balance of this. Because if you're doing all business, 95% business, you're going to be a very unhappy, angry elf. And we don't want you to be an angry elf, do we? No.
Of course not. Nobody wants to be there. You want to enjoy what you're doing. You want to make sure that you have that financial stability at the back end to propel you through a fun life. And that brings me right into our next pillar, which is fun. Boy, is this one so crucial, Barry. When we were talking about doing this conversation, fun was one that we may have spent the most time talking about leading into it. Why is that?
So Ryan, I love starting off with the fun because fun. Life without laughter is a boring salad. We've all had boring salads in our life. They're boring. No one wants to eat them. Your life doesn't have to be that way. So we, meaning myself and anyone I'm around, we need to gamify and make it fun. Yeah, there's stuff you do that's not easy, whether you're on the phone, you're in meetings, traveling, whatever, but you make it fun. And you find the sweetness every day to make it fun. We're so fortunate to be living in a great country, a capitalistic country where we can work hard and get rewarded for our energy. Many places around the world are not that way, but we have that ability. Why not make it fun? And if we're lucky, if we're healthy physically and emotionally, there is no excuses because in my opinion, if we're born in this country, 50%, you're already lucky. You're born in this country. Then the other 50% is what are you going to do about it? You're going to go to school, you're going to get better, you're going to strive to be the best version of yourself. So make it fun. And I love putting things on a calendar to look forward to things, whether it's a dinner or a vacation or spending quality time with my family and my friends. I use the calendar as a way for me to say, oh, look, Friday, I have a wonderful tennis hit with a friend. I can't wait. And that's fun. So fun is a huge piece of the 7. Huge.
All righty, Barry, let's go ahead and shift into that 7th and final pillar, philanthropy, spelled with an F and keeping in the same lane as all the pillars, beginning with the letter F. I feel like this is a pillar, Barry, that is probably so often overlooked in many people's lives, this idea of charitable giving and philanthropy. Why is this so important, and why is it really a pivotal part of winning the game of life?
Well, giving is a big part of our family, and to be a giver versus a taker, it's just that simple. So when you're giving, you're feeling better about helping other people. So philanthropy in our family, everyone is on a board, everyone is doing something to help someone else. So there's no definition of how you define that, but the idea is to be a giver, not a taker. And it doesn't mean you need to write big checks. You can give your time, your collateral, your wisdom, your positive energy to the less fortunate. That's giving. That's philanthropic. And one of the things that I've done with many of our family members and people that I'm in contact with is we have them do what's called profiles in success, which is a strategy to interview 25 really successful people in your community and find out their story of how they became so successful. And then we're going to make that person the author, meaning the person who's interviewing the person, they're going to be an author of this book. They're going to gift that book to other young minds and help them. So that's a philanthropic effort, is to help other young minds. So we are all about helping and being of service and making sure we're more interested than interesting. It's not the Barry Show. It's always about the other person. So that is philanthropic. How can we add value first and make them better, a better version of themselves?
No, that's great, Barry. And look, Barry, you work with a lot of young minds over at Mag 7 Consultants and trying to talk through the importance of these 7 pillars in order to win that game of life. But as you've seen, I know we've talked about it in the past, there have been moments where you see one of these pillars has fallen down, maybe multiple, maybe it's just neglected entirely by someone. And there's a negative ripple effect because of it. So, could you share maybe an experience from some of your time working with these young minds, speaking with their families about either a moment where somebody was over focusing on a given pillar in life and neglecting others, or just plain and simple, just let one of these pillars go by the wayside and now they're kind of pitter pattering through life with no purpose, no fun, no philanthropy, no faith even. Talk to me about this.
Ryan, I get a phone call once or twice a month from a family, mother or father, who's near tears because their son or daughter has lost their way with family values. And what I mean by family values, the things that we embrace that's important: heritage, maxing out credit cards, missing class, drinking too much, smoking pot, all the naughty things. And they got off the train tracks. They call me. I'm their go-to. And the first thing I do is when I talk to that young mind is I want to understand what their why is, what their purpose is. What are they on? What are they all about? I put them through an 8-minute discovery process. And you remember the Simon Sinek video years ago on finding out your why. I have a process to find out what they're all about. I start there. Once I understand their purpose, their why, their what, and their how, I then can come up with a strategy to help them. And it's usually completely different from any other therapist or doctors they've talked to. Because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. I'm a street person that worked on Wall Street for 39 years through healthy struggles. So I love those challenges, and everyone's different, Ryan. There's not one that's the same. I'm smoking too much pot. I'm vaping. I can't get up. I've heard it all. I've heard it all. And there's ways to change the narrative, but we have to figure out what their purpose is. Once we figure out what their purpose, and if their purpose, if they want to be in the same place they're in right now, that's your choice. I can't help you. There's nothing I can do if that's what you want to be. But if you want to be this other person that is in flow and harmony and kicking ass on the street, I can help you. I can give you the keys to the fast button. I know how to do that, and I will help you.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, Barry. And look, we've thrown a lot at our audience today. This idea of these 7 pillars, helping somebody win the game of life. It's not an easy game. You need these 7 items to really be able to propel you forward in life and achieve that success that we all desire. But Barry, if you had to whittle today's conversation down to a few key takeaways so that somebody could walk away or turn this episode off and know that they've got some foundational concepts that they can implement in their life starting today, what would be those key takeaways from the conversation?
I'll leave you with this thought, and I really mean this. Nothing happens until after you commit. In other words, you have to commit. But nothing good's going to happen unless you commit. So you have to commit to whatever. You want to get a degree, you want to go to school, you want to do this, you want to run a marathon, you need to commit. So it starts with a commitment, and you have to decide. You want to be a better version of yourself. These 7 pillars, family, faith, friends, fitness, financial, fun, philanthropy, is the recipe for success. It's hard. You have to find ways to balance these in your day, in your life. They're not easy to do, but that is the recipe for success.
Thank you, Barry. Appreciate that. And Barry, for anybody out there in our audience that could benefit from a conversation with you and your team to dive into their how, dive into their why, and really unpack some of those pillars for themselves so that they can find themselves on a path to success, what would be the best way somebody could reach out, find you, and open up a dialogue?
Sure. The best way is just to call me. My phone number is 818-427-6109. Or send me an email link. It's Barry at mag7consultants.com. So keep it simple, but most importantly, this is a huge topic we're talking about. And this is not easy, gang, but it starts with a plan. Now you have the 7 pillars. Make it happen.
All righty, fantastic, Barry. Appreciate you. I know you've got clients to serve, so I'll let you get back to doing that. But great conversation today. A lot of good intel on the table, and looking forward to seeing you on the next one.
Thank you, Ryan. Enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
All right, Barry, thank you so much. And hey, folks, we want to take one final moment, as we always do, and thank you for stopping by and spending some time with us on the podcast today. If you enjoyed today's conversation, you learned a thing or two, we'll make sure then that you subscribe to the show on whichever platform you checked us out on today so that you don't miss out on any other great conversations down the road. Because at the end of the day, Barry and I are just bringing the same conversations and concepts that he's working with his young minds over at Mag 7 Consultants, or bringing them right here to you guys on this show. So by subscribing, you won't miss out on any of that great stuff. Before Barry, I'm Ryan. We're going to go ahead and say so long now. But once again, we appreciate you stopping by and being with us on Game Changers.